While Adam Bellringer was violently remote of Poland just since he was Hebrew, he didn't believe same-D always be capable to back to his motherland. It was behind in 1968 how Mr. Bellringer, 19 at the period, was done to abandon his Polish nationality and kicked out of the nation, for one of communism's more dark episodes. Fair 23 year following the genocide, Poland's surviving Hebrew people was aimed by an against Semitic cleansing formally authorized by the nation's later communistic authorities. Stigmatized and against Zionist campaigning, Polish Jews were undressed of their jobs and expelled, since of the by the governments, and the broad Soviets blocs, increasing animosity to Israel at the period. An alleged 14,000 Poles of Hebrew belief or origin were constrained to keep the nation, following every creature taking into account a paper how set out how its mount was stateless and had no law to always back to Poland. Looking behind, Mr. Bellringer says, "Lot of my associate were detained, my dad was sent of his work. We were all in upheaval and afraid for the lowest." Mr. Bellringer, who at the period had been an electronic equipment undergraduate at Warsaw Engineering College, was undertaken in by Sweden. His parent, both of Polish Jewish genocide survivors, accompanied a year after. It wasn't before the drop of communism in Poland in 1989 to 21 year following he was exiled, how Mr. Bellringer was capable to eventually back to his motherland. And in vengeance on the communists how constrained him to keep Poland, he play a key part in help the nation restore a capitalist economics. Present a so-known Polish entrepreneur, and lug of famous Polish coffee circuit Verdant Cafe Nero, he is capable to see behind on an age lifetime how went of injury and grief to triumph back and repayment. Now 68, Mr. Bellringer says he chose Sweden since he didn't include a lot of options. Nordic countries' doors were outdoor for human beings love me, in comparison with the UK, France and the US, he says. Or it was nearer rather than Israel, wherever I as well didn't aware nobody. His parent, who had kept Planet War II since the Soviet power had constrained them to go of Poland to Uzbekistan in Central Asia, struggled to settle down in Stockholm, Sweden's equity, but Mr. Bellringer flourished. Rapidly training Swedish he engulfed Stockholm's academia civilization, student policy scientific and industry authority at college, and take Swedish nationality. By the deceased 1980s Mr. Bellringer was work in scientific community and written a dissertation on the growth of Poland's against Communist Cohesion Trading Association. But events in Poland intended the dissertation was abruptly out of date. In 1989 Poland's communistic by the government compressed at the identical period as some such a regimes bring down through Centre and East Europe. Abruptly Mr. Bellringer was capable to back to Poland, and recognition how the nation had newly opened to the planet of trade he modified occupation of scientific community to industry. Cursory in Polish, he rapidly done a success carrier, operating as a medium man for different Swedish firms putting in Poland. But time excited to be behind in Poland, down there was one item Mr. Bellringer skipped, a proper coffee. For time Warsaw had been one of Europe's great coffee potable capitals preliminary to 1939, the Pride story had disappeared. First of all the Nazis had regularly tested to bring Warsaw to Kabul while they eventually stretched out of the town to the end of the warfare, and later the communists had done the people put up in fair a few country-owned cafes how serviced terrible coffee. Eventually in 2003, Mr. Bellringer solved to individually do thing to enhance the position and along in friends he outdoor a coffee store named Verdant Coffee. He was amazed how largest of the customers were of a really particular demographics. While we outdoor the cafe in 2003 our clients were generally youthful female, he says. They yet prevail, but the ordinary age is growing, and as well more than men, 90% of visitors are human beings in high formation. Time Mr. Bellringer kept a quantity of some industry interests in sectors consisting recruiting and medical. By 2012 he had stretched Verdant Coffee to 8 point of sale. Searching further invest, how year he sold out a most share in the industry to UK coffee company Cafe Nero for an unsolved amount, and Verdant Coffee was renamed Verdant Cafe Nero. In Mr. Bellringer, yet in the operating CEO part, the business now has 58 point of sale. The is approximately the identical quantity as Starbucks has in the nation, but part how of marketplace lead Costa, that has several 120 branch. Verdant Cafe Nero's yearly circulation is now 50 Polish PLN, pound 11 meter, a year. Coffee House Nero's head execution Gary Wade says he was really lucky to go in industry in his Polish affiliate, since Mr. Bellringer has a really world prospect. Hannah Heather, a coffee marketplace specialist at study team Allegra Strategies, says how time Poland's stigmatized coffee store marketplace is comparatively little by Europe standards, it is start to extend quickly. Future invest of Costa, Verdant Cafe Nero and Starbucks will driving future increase, along in the capacity for some guideline world chains to come the lively marketplace, she adds. Mr. Bellringer says he is happy to include helping Poland restore a portion of the nation's legacy how was loose for the horrors of Planet War couple, and later the communistic year how accompanied it, and at the identical period connection Poland in the world increase in coffee shops seen with the 1990s. Looking behind on his undergraduate year, he says he yet has a leftward propensity cardiac, and how his industry philosophical is on treat human beings, both of personnel and customers, so. But I'm not as left as I was, he says. Same planet has modified.